very closely personally identified with the brand of Epic Beer. But one of the things to think about when you're looking at how you build a social media strategy and grow it is, does this social media strategy rely on being only me, or is it something that multiple people can access? So Airpoints Ferry is the Airpoints Ferry, but Grab a Seat is multiple people tweeting from the same account. And a lot of the companies that we work with are multiple people tweeting from the same account. So that was one point. Another one was, you were talking about, okay, so do you have to be on there 24/7 to reply all the time? And really, I can't think of any instance in social media where anyone's gotten dinged or slammed or flamed for saying, hey mate, sorry it took me a couple days to get back to you, I was out camping. You know, I mean, you can always just say, you set your own boundaries and it's up to you. The fact that you're on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn does not automatically mean that you are setting yourself up to be accountable for instant response 24/7. I had something else, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I think the key point on that is in terms of scalability, through making use using technology, there's lots of cool apps out there that allow you to access lots of accounts at one time. Take Hootsuite, for example, you can empower your staff, and a great example of this is Starbucks. I know it's not a good brand in New Zealand, but internationally Starbucks, they actually deputise a core group of their staff to actually respond to their tweets or their Facebook inquiries. That was a Facebook promotion, etc. And that was really successful about growing the brand and reputation and strength. The same thing can be done with Twitter. There's some really cool tools out there that allows multiple accounts. You can run your own personal Twitter account as well as the company one, and you can respond to those as they need to. And that's what in New Zealand.
I've got a great example of that.
Brilliant.
I randomly actually had some days off and my brain was able to catch up on everything. And came up with this idea of 42 days of Epic Armageddon. And it's not here, it's just too big for here. You can get the other
You can get it on the 28th of January. You guys are best friends. I can't figure out.
Anyway, I'm currently using a tool called Tweet Me Later, and I came up with this idea about 42 days of Epic Armageddon because on the front of Armageddon there's a little 42, which is the number of hops per bottle. And I thought, oh, this would be really cool to actually only use social media and get people to take a photo, tag it, tweet it, hashtag it, and this actually works out really good for the people that do this because last week we only had 10 people posting photos. And so you've got a 1 in 10 chance of winning a case of Epic Armageddon, which is probably the equivalent of like 120 bucks with a beer. But it was like, you can use this tool, and I just spent like a couple of afternoons just like filling out every day for 42 days going, here are all my tweets. And now, it's just remotely tweeting out. I don't have to worry about this competition anymore. It's doing tweets, it's encouraging people to like take photos, post them on Flickr, I got it, buy product, and it's just like all these things, and it just does all these tweets randomly, which I actually need to keep sort of a mental note on what time it's going to go out, because it's like if I do a tweet and it's like I bury the tweet that just went out like 2 minutes ago and it's like, damn, I missed a tweet on that promotion. So it's just, there's tools out there where you can do that. It's like you can create something that's running there. Like I've got now through till the 11th of February, which is just automatically promoting something to do, this is sort of like inside the brand.
I do think that the responding can be hard from a business owner's point of view, and I think it's definitely on the cards this year to hire someone who would be outside the consultant or someone in-house to actually do that, because it takes a lot of time, and to respond to someone that day or that week, it still takes up a lot if you've got a small team. So it's not as easy as
I think the key thing though is taking Zero is a great example. You have to be really careful about using ghost tweeters. Catalyst 9 is a business and we do tweet on behalf of a number of companies. But you still have to remember that that company's a brand. If you're operating as a brand, that's fine. But if you're operating as an individual, like there was a sort of recruitment agency that made the newspaper about ghost tweeting, it was the CEO or the managing director of the agency that was not actually posting up any of the tweets, and that was actually detrimental to the brand because the tweets weren't coming from a real person. I think even though you're posting up a whole series of tweets in advance, you're still responding to the individual tweets that are coming through in between.
And they're still coming from you.
Yeah, so that's the key thing, is that to remember that Twitter is a live conversation from an individual, but if you're a brand, then it's also good to tag tweets like 0 as an example, or tag and who's responding to the tweet, or if it's an anonymous tweet and it's obviously from the brand. So you do have to just balance it carefully.
And that actually brings me back to your other point about there being no rules, which was what I remember I was going to say before, your point about there being no rules. And I think the one, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there are very clear rules. And I think one of the clearest rules is that you have to understand your brand identity and be that brand so fully on social media. So, you know, I do this presentation on social media for business, and I show the core principles of one of our clients, and they're all these like, you know, la-di-da and like hippie core principles like generosity and sustainability, and they're all like lovely, you know, and I go, well, aren't these right? Wouldn't everyone like to be that? And then I should put a picture of Bruno or Hell Pizza or fake Steve Jobs or whatever, and you think, well, those principles wouldn't apply to them. And so it's not that there are principles that apply to everyone, but whatever your identity is, you better be that so fully and so consistently. And if you're saying, this is the CEO, it needs to be the CEO. And if you're saying this is fake Steve Jobs, it's not Steve Jobs. You know it's not Steve Jobs, and you're going to embrace it not being Steve Jobs so fully that, you know, no one has any kind of doubt as to what they're engaging with.
My question is just, there's quite a few companies I've noticed lately that are actually just hiring people just to do their social media. And on the job descriptions, like, they won't have much of anything to do with what the company itself is about. So it could be an IP company, and they're not looking for someone that's doing any coding or any designing, just someone to update their Twitter or Facebook. What's your opinion on that, where someone, you know, is part of the company, but obviously isn't contributing anything to the core, you know, what the thing's about? Where do you,
I'll just go with this. In my case, we get a lot with, I mean, I'm not a teaching and education background myself, but a lot of stuff we do in the social is about discussion around modern teaching aids or engaging students in digital media. So I talk about it from experience and working with these schools. But someone I'd like to hire in-house would be someone that maybe a teaching background that can communicate directly to these teachers about experience and what they've done in the past themselves. So it's not so much someone that's used a lot of social networking tools in the past, it still relates to the people they're conversing with.
I think the key thing behind that, well, I don't know if that's, sorry, I don't know if that's the best approach. Sorry, you can't turn it on.
Share the three folks.
If you're drinking power, it'll be loud.
Yeah, if it was up again, it would just be mind-blowing.
Super loud.
Yeah. I find that if you're hiring someone to do social media, the best thing to do is actually incorporate this as part of your overall strategy. The key thing to remember is that social media is not the replacement for all other ways to communicate with your client base. It works really well for some businesses, but not for all. It's a touch point, it's not an overall solution. So it's adopting it as part of your strategy, because not all of your clients will be using Twitter, or Facebook, or Bebo, or whatever it may be. Some of them will still like to receive something in email. And so therefore it's whoever your clients are, that's what you should be speaking with in terms of the language that you're using. But I do find that as a good customer service tool, using Twitter is good. And if a company or an organisation is hiring with that thought in mind, because what tools like Twitter do is that they take the coffee shop conversations from inside the coffee shop to the friends to online, and it becomes word of mouth marketing online. And if you can actually capture that, respond to that, and answer that quickly, then Twitter is a brilliant tool for that. And some companies do that really well, but the thing to bear in mind is that those companies will still have, call centers of people answering phone calls. And Twitter's a long way off replacing traditional conversations. And I hope it never does, because that means that, you never see the sunshine, I never drink any beer, I never have any coffee, and those are the things that I survive for.
Yeah, I guess we'd have two aspects to our response to that. One would be kind of similar to what you're saying. What is it that you're wanting them to accomplish? And then depending on what you want, if you're wanting them to be able to speak with colleagues who are doing code, then obviously they have to be capable of doing code and having that kind of conversation. If your IT product is a mass market product for people who are not IT savvy, then it might be detrimental to have a coder having that conversation. And then the other thing is, if you think about the way marketing or sales is integrated in successful companies with product development, that it's not, you don't develop a product in a vacuum and then